Hi, I'm Dean Sage.
And I'm Jack Kervin.
And this is Show Me Your Deck,
a podcast where we explore the intersections of oracles and chakras,
using our original decks to create new insights. Here we are at episode 43. You thought it was 45. What made you think it was 45? Why did you just give ahead?
Oh, I don't know. I guess 43 is a prime number, right? I don't like prime numbers.
Really?
I just don't like them. I find them annoying.
I love prime numbers. Prime numbers are my favorite. Prime numbers, when I taught math, I taught my students that prime numbers are the only real numbers because you could break down every other compound number into a prime number sequence.
Right.
So prime numbers are really the only real numbers that exist, according to me.
Well, look at you. So you can have 43. I'll go with 44 and 45. Actually, I don't know. I like 45 better.
45 is a good number.
It's got all sorts of stuff in it.
That's me. I'm 45.
Are you?
No, not yet. In a couple months. But this is my year. This is my. I've been existent in some form for 45 years at this point.
Nice.
Yeah, I was in womb.
This is my year of turning 49, so I will come into the perfect 7 square fruition of my own mythology.
Nice.
We'll see how it goes. 36 is awesome. That's a dragon year. Oh. So every 12 years, I come back around to everybody comes around every 12 years, but 1976, 1988, 2000, 2012. This is when I was 36. That's when we did Anaros Media. And then, 2024. Was 48. So we'll see what happens when I'm 60. It's kind of funny because on those dragon years, I have had really quite spectacular years in some ways.
Well, that's good. I found out I'm a metal monkey. Just made me laugh because you use for your elements, you dipped into the Chinese elemental system as well, not just like sort of the standard elemental system. And I'm a metal monkey. I couldn't remember. I was trying to do a thing like I was reading on Instagram, like take this thing and this thing, it'll make you this thing. I'm like, I don't remember what I am. And then Alexa informed me I was a metal monkey. I never knew that. I never knew I was metal. So
yeah, metal monkey. There's also I took metal and wood from the Chinese system to add it to the standard, quote unquote standard kind of westernized Greek system, the earth, air, water, fire. So I needed more because there's 7 chakras.
Yes.
I am a fire dragon. Woohoo!
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why we get along so well.
Yeah. Fire and metal. That's forging.
I'm metal, and apparently that means like intelligence, and the monkeys are intelligent or something. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll be
smart
a monkey.
on smart. I can see it.
Yes.
I got fire on dragon. That's just flaming on fabulous, and here I am.
Well, it's interesting because I always relate differently to your metal than you intended necessarily for your metal to be related to. Do you ever feel like fire, influences you in any way? Like, do you relate to the element fire?
Oh, does fire influence me? Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, not just because I'm flaming, but because, if fire is about action and doing, I am a workhorse.
That's
Absolutely.
True. That's true.
I am an absolute workhorse. When I look at the sheer volume of what I've created over the course of my life, it's really, I don't know, kind of staggering because I do it and I forget about it. Then I go and discover it. I'm like, where did all of this come from? I'm like, what is this?
Well, I remember you doing all the videos for the sequences and talking to you about those as you did them was incredible. Like, and then you took a whole other swing at it. Like you did it. And then you're like, no, I don't like it.
Did it again.
And then completely redid it. You're out in public in Charlotte, just filming little bits here and there.
I still have all that footage and I could still do all that stuff. Oh my God, that was really good stuff. But it's so layered and so dense. Yeah, fire. I see fire. And dragon is the only mythological creature in the Chinese cycle. So it's to represent that energy that seems to somehow not be possible in this world, and yet it still manifests. So yeah, I guess I can see it.
What does metal mean in the original Chinese? I'm not familiar.
Oh, I haven't looked at that in a while. So something that's interesting with the Chinese system is when you put all 5 of the elementals in a circle, they have a circle of production or creation and a circle of destruction. So it's really kind of cool because I think it's wood. Hold on, I haven't done this in a while. I think metal chops wood, but metal is corroded by water or something like that. So they have this sequence of what was the word? Affluence with each other. And the way they're sequenced together can also have meaning. So if fire extinguishes water, but it's smothered by earth, then, it can create all these interesting narratives and, I don't know. You can almost make stories out of it.
I mean, I'm sure they have. I'm sure there's people like us that respond to the chakra systems and get creative with them. I'm just not familiar.
I mean, it's been around for centuries and centuries, so I'm sure somebody's done it.
Well, are you ready for some context for today?
Yes, let me roll the tetrahedron of doom. Here we go. Deck number 4.
Number 4.
The haiku. So which number today? Which number?
Haiku is always an interesting way to start.
My 50-sided die just rolled into a crevice and I can't see what it says. Hold on. Okay, it says 12.
12. All right. Speaking of dragons.
Okay, so 12, 12, 12. Oh, we've done 12 a lot. 12 has come up a lot. Yeah. This is
it has. Like 2 episodes ago it came up.
Yeah, this is metal, orange, I feel, as it's influenced by water, third eye, blue. So I feel as it's influenced by I see. Noxious metal sludge contaminates clear thought, yields venomous waters. Noxious metal sludge contaminates clear thought, yields venomous waters. Here is our factory on the river, dumping stuff into the water.
Yes.
Yet again.
Well, why has it returned? Maybe that's something we should consider. Why did it come back? Why do we keep getting dragon numbers? Why does 12 keep coming back up? Is it saying something about us? Are we unclear? Are we dumping toxic sludge into our podcast?
No, I think that this is a very toxic time that we're living in, and there's no way to escape being aware of it. And we have to constantly make sure that we're not contributing to it. Today, there's going to be some kind of a tank parade or something to celebrate the Great One's birthday. I mean, these are toxic times and we have to be aware of them and what kind of messaging is going out and who's welcome in this country and who's not. And it's incumbent upon us to make sure that what we're putting out there is not that. And so we need these constant reminders to be open, healthy, happy people.
So you feel like
not drink don't drink the purple drink.
So you think the context here is sort of a negative, a reverse. So saying, that it's not about what the card's representing, but about what the card's warning us not to become. So we're not investing ourselves in the haiku. We're sort of using the haiku as a warning against investing in it.
I think so, because I think of my deck as a series of reminders, and we don't know what order they're going to come up in. We don't know why. It's for us to figure out the context. But here we have, yet again, this reminder to be careful about the way in which our feelings and our knowledge interact, because when negative feelings are used to filter knowledge, you get scare tactics, you get hateful rhetoric, you get needless arguments, and all sorts of miscommunication that's actually purposeful. A lot of this is just outright purposeful, and it's a reminder that we don't have to participate in that. In fact, we can be the antidote to it.
I like that word, antidote.
because a lot of toxins end up having some kind of a metallic base to them, I suppose you might say, like arsenic or something. A lot of these poisonous chemicals are in some way metals or salts or some combination thereof, and they can be extracted and extruded out from the water. You don't have to have those really toxic feelings in your mind. How do you separate what you feel from what you understand?
So I'm kind of hearing that you have it's easy, right? It's easy. Our phones are ripe to give us more and more. So if you watch one video about the horrors of something, suddenly you've got 10 videos about the horrors of that same thing, and it reaches down into the depths of the murky water and continues to pull out videos that support the last video that you watched, all to try to keep you engaged, so you can become, a river of just, torrential things. Yes. Well, you can very easily create an intake, right, where you're just filled with all of these things rushing through you at all times, and then it's very easy to let the toxic sludge out. I was talking to Lisa yesterday. Like, it's just there was something with a K-pop star. He wore a "Make Tokyo Great Again" hat, and he didn't know the context.
Oh dear.
Yeah, he didn't know that was tied to the MAGA slogan.
Mm-hmm.
And people came for him in the comments, and he wrote this like huge long apology about it. And her point was like, people were just ready and waiting to just and I think that's kind of what I'm hearing, is that it's very easy to kind of become overwhelmed or oversaturated. I think might be the better word, oversaturated with some of the toxic sludge that is in the world around us. And it's very easy to sort of lash out with that, right? It's very easy to expel that in a fashion onto the internet or onto the people around you, or even onto yourself, in a self-hating way.
Well, and it's not that we could even blame anybody for being in that situation, because it doesn't really matter where you try to find your news. It always seems to focus on terrible stuff.
They need the views and the clicks.
Yeah. And so it's like, it really is incumbent upon us to purposely go and find that which is not toxic. And it is there. This is a world that is not, there's toxicity. There's also purity. There's also clarity. There's also friendliness. There's also kindness. So we have to be very careful about the ways in which our devices feed us anger.
Well, I was talking to my dad yesterday, and he just was very pessimistic. And I realized that it's not an uncalled for response, right? But I just had to kind of remind him, like, he was like, there's something inside us that would make us destroy the whole universe in order to make sure that we're the center of it. And he's like, that's inside everybody. And I'm like, I don't know about that. I think that's a very pessimistic view. I think what we're proved time and time again is that when humans need to form a community, they form a community. So if there's a flood and you've got a boat, you go and pick up your neighbor. You don't think about it. You just do it. And, when someone's hungry in your community, you feed them. And, in small groups, humans are very good people. It's when you get into these larger societies and castes, and
there's too many rats in the cage.
There's a breakdown at that point, I think. And I think it has to do with the othering. I think once a society becomes big enough to have an other, then that's where you get sort of the negative part of humanity.
This came up some episodes ago, this strange balance between needing to be in groups and then not wanting to be in groups. And there's some kind of a tipping point that you're talking about here, where when there are too few people, your chance of survival goes down. So you need people. But then once there's enough people, then what? The resources now have to be divided between too many mouths, and now suddenly it's too many people. And then the othering, the tribalism, the greediness starts. So there's this strange balance where, yeah, we're communal creatures, but only to a point.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have to be civilized to not destroy each other. And it still happens anyway.
Well, that's where, the rule of law and enforcement of laws and those kind of things come in, because there is. So at one time there was a bit of a zero sum. Like there were only so many wild berries in your patch of the forest.
Mm-hmm.
There were only so many water holes in your part of the savanna. There were only so many trees you could climb to escape predators, right? There were limited resources. And so it was a bit of a zero-sum game where for one group to prosper, another might have to fail or move on.
Mm-hmm.
And, that is deeply ingrained in our DNA. But we live in a time where it's no longer zero-sum, but we still behave that way. And I think that's maybe, for me, when you talked about antidote, I think that's what I'm kind of getting from this, is that the antidote to all this is to realize it's not zero sum.
Sure.
It's not zero sum. You don't have to beat someone. You don't have to. Nobody has to win. Nobody has to lose. We really do have enough now,
especially in a time of mass production. So,
we can grow so many crops, so much food, so much meat. Like we have the ability to feed. We just don't do it. Yeah. So in terms of this context card, perhaps the reminder is, for whatever comes forward, to remember that the way in which you process information is through a filter. Be aware of what that filter is and what your mood is at any given moment, and how your life experience has perhaps permanently tinted one of your lenses. But just to be aware, we're not sitting here on the podcast telling you that you are bad people, you must be better. We're saying be aware of when the darkness wants to lash out. Well, this is second chakra, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something sub-logical, sub-rational about this. This is about your gut movements.
Literal. Your gut.
Your gut movements, your gut reactions. This is about things that are deep inside you. These are core moments. These are core beliefs that you just simply embody, right? They're deep. They're very deep down. And the idea of them being metal works a little bit here, because our core images really do get cast in immovable stone and immovable metal. And they're very hard to break and change. It takes a lot of cognitive effort and time to do some of those things. Some things you can redo quickly, but there's a lot deep down that just solidified there and has stayed there. And that's what these engagement algorithms and the news channels and all these things are feeding off of, is that sort of gut reaction that they can get from people.
Instinct, which is also part of this chakra.
Yeah.
They're going for your instinctual gut response. And it's interesting because the inverse of this, where there's water being intersected by metal, is not the same. This is very specifically the way you are experiencing your instinct and your feelings, and how what you know and perceive and understand is, influencing that.
Mm-hmm.
So just be aware of how the media or anybody is trying to manipulate. Are we really trying to manipulate people? I don't think we're trying to manipulate people.
No,
we're just having a discussion.
We have a bias. Like we're two white gay men. We have a bias. We come from a certain place. We're going to be blind to some cultural things. We're going to say things that aren't necessarily correct or are outside of our understanding, so that it's impossible for us to be right because we just don't know.
Yeah, we haven't had the experience.
And we're gonna speak from our own experience and the way that we live life in the moment that we live in. And we both have privileges. We both have constraints. We both have I can't think of the word. Where oppressions, like we have ways that we're condemned by society or excluded by society, and that colors us too.
But I think that we don't ever forget that. We're very cognizant of it on this channel about what it means to have a specific experience for yourself.
I would go with that.
I don't know that I hear that from a lot of the media that somehow gets into my line of sight, even though I've turned it all off. It's like I will see material as like that is purposefully engineered to be as upsetting as possible. And I don't think that we're doing that.
I will give a shout out here to a TikToker who also posts on Instagram, Under the Desk News, V Spear or Spahar. I can't remember how to pronounce their last name, but they're very, very good at trying to have balanced messages, and they do good news only nights. I think it's on Thursdays, and they really try not to get sucked into some of these, clicky portal type things, and try to give good advice, try to give good things. So if you are looking for a news source that's not designed to make you feel bogged down or triggered, it's a very good one. They don't cover everything, right? They're not, a news media outlet that has the time to cover everything in the world, but they do focus on some very important things and kind of break things down in understandable ways, and also recommend other people, other creators, other news creators to follow to get additional information.
You said under the what? Under the
desk news.
Under the desk news. Okay.
Let's move forward. Let's see. Right. Let's see what we got here. Oh, there's a lot of energy on this one. Last couple of readings haven't been very energetic. This one feels very energetic today. That's good. I like it when the deck's talky. All right, we have number 12 in the major arcana, surrender. Wait, surrender to the truth. Wait. It's an exclamation. Sorry, wait. I should say it correctly. Wait, surrender to the truth.
I think that's an excellent follow-up to what we were already saying. When you hear something or see or experience something, especially if it's triggering, I know that it's, sublogical, but try to remember to wait and figure out what's actually happening before you have a full-on response.
Mm-hmm. I wrote, actively being passive is the height of irony. When the goal is to see what cannot be seen, irony abounds. This kind of dichotomy of opposites somehow both being true is perhaps the only thing those who have attained enlightenment can share with those of us who have not. You likely have not, so it is likely you face the complexity much as the Zen adept who does not understand what the master says and therefore contends to meditate on it. But like active passivity, a cone is not solved like a riddle might be. What faces you is not something that can be worked out or teased out. You are being called to wait, even when it seems like action is the only course you can take. Surrender is about actively giving into something or someone else. In surrender, you will connect with the truth.
Well, that sounds like surrender to me.
This is the hanged man in the tarot. It's usually pictured as an upside down man hanging from something, and depends on the imagery of the deck that you're working on.
He's usually hanged upside down by his foot, right?
Correct.
Ankle.
Yeah, he makes sort of a D or B shape with his legs. Like one of them is crooked, one of them is straight.
Okay. So I think we're having a reminder here to just chill out. Just be chill. It's a crazy time, but chill. Don't overreact. Understand what's actually happening before you respond.
Just pause. Just pause.
Pause. One of the challenges. One of the challenges is that if something is already explosive and dangerous or terrible, how are you supposed to be calm in the face of that? How are you supposed to take a moment in the face of that? This is part of the challenge of living in large societies, is that we don't have enough emotional space and time to really process stuff properly. We have to respond quickly in many ways.
Well, it's purposefully also coming at us at high intensity. It's purposeful.
That's true.
It's very purposeful, especially right now, to have things flying left and right and, moving from one thing to the next as quickly as possible and muddying the water with as many things as can be done. The goal is to overwhelm us. That is the goal of what is happening, is to overwhelm us, because humans can't prioritize so many things at one time. We can only hold a few things in our mind at any one time. In fact, there's some researchers and authors that will say you can only hold one thing in your mind at a time.
That's what I was going to say. I cannot multitask at all. If I'm reading something and somebody talks to me, I not only cannot hear what I just read, I don't know what you said either. So it's one of the reasons why I've completely disengaged from the news, because number one, it's upsetting, but number two, what am I supposed to do about this stuff? Other than try to be a nice person. It's like, oh, and I give a homeless person a cracker. I don't know. What am I supposed to do with this? So I understand that their strategy is to wear people out. I get it. But where is the balance between taking care of yourself so you can take care of anything else versus being a participant in the history that your life is making? Because we are living in historic times. I'm kind of done with living in unprecedented times. Could we just live in some precedented times, please?
What's the Chinese curse? May your life be interesting.
Oh God. Well, it is.
So I think surrender comes up here. The hangman comes up here because regardless of how fast everything is coming at you, the questions you're asking are the right questions. And we have to pause to consider them. There is no ethical consumption under capitalism.
No.
So we live in a dichotomy. We live in a conundrum, which is there's really no action we can take, which is purely ethical, that will meet any kind of standard. But there's still good things that we can do. There's still good that we can enter into the world, and there's still good things that we can do. People are out protesting, right? That's a method that people are using, that they can put goodness into the world. Giving the homeless guy a $20 bill, that's a good thing into the world. It's not going to solve his problems, and it's not going to absolve you of the way that you contribute to, world hunger, world poverty, and unfair labor practices. And I mean, nothing is going to erase that. But you need to eat. You need to put clothes on your back. You need to put gas in your car.
And you can avoid purposely putting bad into the world.
Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, where the weight and the surrender to the truth. The truth is complex. It's not easy. If someone feeds you an easy truth, it's probably a lie.
Probably. Let's just go ahead and accept. Some stuff can be taken as a given. Something about what you're describing is making me think of the movie World War Z. And in it, I don't want to say too much because I don't like ruining movies for people if you haven't seen it, but it's really quite a fascinating zombie apocalypse movie. It's quite fascinating. There are different moments throughout the movie where people in the midst of zombie mass chaos will just sit down and be still right in the middle of this rush, this torrent of frenzied hunger, of just mayhem, and they'll just crouch down and cover their heads, and it just washes around them almost like a rock in a river.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a very important, purpose within the narrative. I don't want to say more than that for people who haven't seen it, but what you're describing right now reminds me of trying to remember that as all of this is rushing around, that you can just stand still and take a moment before you get washed away by the wave of activity.
Well, I think it's important. This is the second chakra because you have to remember you have your root chakra.
Mm-hmm.
You have that. Actually, I think I think this is the third eye meets the throat, or the third eye meets itself. I can't remember which one.
You're talking about your card?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember because it's number 12. There's 7 per cycle, so this is the second 7. This is what's 12 minus 7? I can't do this in my head. 5.
5.
Yeah, so this is third eye meets throat in my deck.
So we've had 2 third eyes then in the reading.
Yeah.
So lots and lots to know, lots and lots to see and understand. So using that understanding to temper how you react. But see, this is so problematic because it depends on what kind of information you've taken in.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why it's weight here, right? So it's third eye. So primarily it's about seeing and knowing, but it's the throat chakra, which you would think means now say something, but this is the irony of the card, is that it's saying stay silent.
So there's a wisdom to knowing when to not speak, and that's what you're describing. There are very wise people who simply refuse to participate in arguments or don't see the point in frittering their energy away and commenting on something. That's kind of what this card is serving right now. This
is a left field, but I was just talking about it yesterday, and I think it's appropriate. I am an Apple user. All of my things are Apple. I have Apple Watch. I'm on my Mac Mini right now talking to you. I have an iPhone. I have an iPad, and I have a MacBook laptop. And this is my world. This is my world of technology. I could give no fucks what happens on Android. I don't care. I don't even look at it. It's completely and utterly out of my world. And then I was scrolling on Instagram and I saw a video of an Android user being the big mad because Apple copied a feature, and then in their new OS.
Well, but hasn't Android effectively copied everything about an iPhone? That's a phone, right? An Android is a phone?
Yes, it's back and forth. But my point was, this person was the big mad. They're very invested in something. If you really like Android that much, then you should have zero cares. Right, you should have zero fucks what happens on iOS. Like there should be you should have no energy for it.
Yeah,
like I have no energy for Android. I don't care. It could have an amazing new feature. I don't want to know.
I'll never know.
It's outside my world. I just don't. I don't have any energy to give it. I want my energy to go other places. And so I use that example to get to that point, which is you don't have to spend your energy everywhere. Where the world says, give me your attention, give me your energy. You don't have to give it. You can stop, you can stand back, and you can keep your energy for yourself and divert it to things that are truthful, right? Divert it to things that are real and meaningful.
And that, I feel, comes back to the context card as well. That comes back to the reminder to not pour more metal into the water.
We're going to have kitten magic, just FYI, people. If you hear the scattering, the little orange boy has a toy.
My white fluffy one was chewing on a box a moment ago, so I had to holler. So I remember to turn the microphone back on.
These things are good. But, the cat interrupting is a great point. Like, there are interruptions, there are moments and things where it comes into our life where it affects us and is good. Like if you aren't paying attention, you can miss the little nuggets that come along. You can miss the little opportunities that come along. You have to be open and ready. And the little nuggets in your life, right? If they're, real children, if they're fur babies, whatever they are, they're a constant reminder that there are real things that really matter in your world that you need to pay attention to. And it's kind of not a reminder to be selfish, I don't think.
No, that's being careful about where you do spend your energy. If you've got energy and you want to think of it as money or whatever, spend your money on those moments and those people and those entities that actually do matter. Invest in those.
I've talked about having learning disabilities and being, disabled in that way before. And if you're not familiar with the spoons example, it's something that disabled people came up with to explain what it was like to have less of something. So for me, it's attention and focus and inertia, or non-inertia, the ability to do things. So I have a limited amount of spoons. So most people come into the day with, 50, 100 spoons. They just have a lot. I come into the day with like 15. So when I spend a spoon, it costs me more than when a neurotypical person spends a spoon. So they just have more to give. So it's an example that we use to try to visualize what it means. So like someone that has mobility disabilities, right? It takes them so much more energy to get in the door to work than it did someone who doesn't have mobility issues.
Mm-hmm.
They have less spoons, and they spend them in ways that you don't comprehend
or don't notice, because when you spin them, you still have spoons left to go.
So the idea here is that emotionally, you also have spoons. You also have energy, and the times that we're in have reduced us. We all have fewer spoons right now. We all have fewer moments of peace. We all have fewer moments of care and concern, because everything is trying to eat away at that and eat away at our mental health. And as your mental health declines, your spoons decline. So you need to be careful. I think this is, what it's saying is that you need to be careful where you're spending your spoons right now, where you are putting your attention and focus, and how it is affecting you, and how it is either draining you or supporting you. How you are either putting good into the world around you in the ways that you can affect it, or you're spending that energy, online arguing with people, which gets you nowhere. Just don't do it. Just don't.
Yeah, that's just a waste. That's a waste of spoons. If you're going to do that, just give me the spoons.
You're never going to convince these people that are so hard against human rights and decency and community. Like you're never going to convince them. Don't try. It's the same thing. Like somebody who is in love with Android and loves Android and thinks it's the best thing in the world, I'm never going to convince them that an iPhone's better. I'm not going to try.
I've seen I don't know if it's a trend, but it's something that I've noticed on multiple occasions, at least on Instagram, that there will be people who voted one way or another and they now regret it. And they're explaining why. And usually it's for something very specific and personal and selfish. And then the comments are like, oh, that's why you finally realized that this was a mistake. That's why this, that's why that. It's still not an actual change. You're still this and this and this. Is like, I think that there's also not enough room for people to grow and change. Once you've made a mistake or acknowledged a shortcoming, people don't just say, oh, okay, now what? They like grind your nose in it. It's like, but the person is trying to evolve.
Shame, public shaming, it's there to make everyone else feel better about themselves. It's not there to help somebody. If you shame power, that's different. If you speak truth to power, that's different. Dragging, like the K-pop guy, dragging him through the mud for making a mistake of which he was unaware, and shaming him for it accomplishes nothing but making you feel superior in that moment. It didn't help him. I mean, he was distraught by this.
Well, something that I'm seeing quite a lot, and quite specifically, is that people who voted for Trump are now having their own lives upended in ways that they thought was only going to upend other people's lives. And the commenters are, not giving them very much grace. And I understand that. Okay, the only reason you're upset now is because you got fired, or because your immigrant workers got deported and it affects your business, or now this is happening, you lost your house, but you didn't care about anybody else's. So I understand why people are dragging them, but I think that also is a problem, because you're not giving people a chance to breathe and see how to learn compassion and empathy. So so this one guy lost a third of his workers because they got mass deported, and now he can't run his business, and da 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 da. Well, when I was listening to him talk, he wasn't woe is meing his business. He was finally recognizing the way it was destroying the families of his workers. And people still weren't giving him any grace. It's like, I understand that it can't just be, free of consequence. I get that. But part of what is problematic on the internet, and has been for quite a while now, is that people don't allow other people to learn from their mistakes.
No, there's a trend to simply focus on the bad and name them bad. And it, again, that's an easy truth, which means it's a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my thing. Sorry, people change. So someone says, oh my gosh, I realize this. I regret doing my action. Okay. We're not going to give you warm hugs because you should have known better. You're an adult. You live in the world with everybody else. You should have known different. There shouldn't have been the need for you to be personally affected, for you to care about others. So, okay. Here you are. You're sorry now. Now we expect you to be better. We expect you to do better.
Mm-hmm.
Apology acknowledged, right? Apology acknowledged. We accept changed action. We accept changed behavior. That's what we accept.
Mm-hmm.
And here you go. You regret. Now you come and change. Now you come and be part of the change. Now you take your vote and you make it meaningful, not just for yourself, but for everybody else that you now finally see because it affected you. Now put yourselves in other people's shoes, experience that, and make your actions different.
Yeah, and I've seen it with climate deniers who finally understand that climate change is real because their house got flooded. It's like, oh my God. I don't understand why it takes people this long to learn empathy, but that they learn it eventually, I guess is better late than never. But then there has to be some room to give people the space and time to do better.
Well, we have to, and again, it's easy truths. It's good to have villains. This is why we have movies, right? We have movies because good triumphs over evil. The hero wins and the villain loses. We like that zero sum. That feels very good to us, from a moral perspective. We like that certainty. We like the fact that the villain will be destroyed or the villain will be jailed or whatever the consequence is. We really, really just imbibe that as part of our soul. And we've been doing this in story for forever. So it's simply turned into the public sphere because we have the ability to do that. And so we tell these stories of these horrible people and it makes us feel better. And then when we see them get torn down, it makes us feel good because the villain is being destroyed. But that's a myopic view. Mm-hmm. And it forgets that they're humans too.
Well, it also forgets that what we find gratifying in fiction doesn't work in reality. There's complexity here and they are human. And so certainly not trying to excuse horrific behavior, but there is context, and understanding what that context is helps to hopefully avoid it happening again. But you have to at least acknowledge that the bad actor has context.
And there are people that are willfully and knowingly doing wrong and are evil and need to be held accountable for that. And I will believe they have changed when I have seen it multiple times. And I think that they do need to be torn down and they do need to feel the consequences of their actions. And they do need to be stopped, especially when it's power over people. Yeah. There's a lot of people who they're not power. They're easy targets because they did something that is affecting you, but you're kind of doing the same thing that they did when you tear them down because they supported something that affected you. You're creating a villain that you can take down, but
which is kind of, that's a weak move. You're going after the small game boss. Go after the big game boss.
Well, it's an easy target. It's a feel good moment. It's a boost of adrenaline and endorphins and dopamine and whatever else comes with it. It is something that you can do in a moment that will give you a mote of feeling better about something. But you have to remember, these are the people we need, right? So there's
the ones who are willing to change and recognize what they've done is not good and evolve. We need them.
If we want to see change, if we want to see difference, these are the people that we need to bring with us.
Yeah. So instead of, burning them in effigy, spank them on the ass a few times, put them in the corner for a little while, and then let them be better.
Cause them to listen, cause them to change. Let's get some more. Let's get a tetrahedron of doom.
The tetrahedron of doom says that we're staying with the haiku.
Of course.
I dropped the die. Okay, fine. It came up 40. I don't remember ever doing 40 before. Let's see what that is. Oh, okay. So we're with third eye still. This is actually where third eye meets solar plexus. So this is blue meets yellow. This is water meets fire. This is I see being influenced by I do. Scalding mists propel. Burning thoughts evolve. Glistening pyre. Scalding mists propel. Burning thoughts evolve. Glistening pyre.
Are you're saying revolve and evolve, like RE?
Yes.
Evolve.
Evolve.
Okay. Just want to make sure my not so good ears are hearing it.
Scalding mists propel. Burning thoughts evolve. Glistening pyre. So,
Fire,
water, third eye, action.
another third eye.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We're just sticking right there.
3 for 3.
In the Buddhist conception, as you approach enlightenment, right, as you rise to the chakras and you approach enlightenment, you begin to see that you and the others are not different. And it's one of the, I don't know if they call them lies. I forget what they call them. It's one of the untruths, or one of the truths that you need to unlearn, is that you are different and separate from the other, from everyone else. That you are really two of the same, right? You are connected. You are one with them and they're one with you. That's the namaste.
Yeah, well, that's the spirit of empathy. And we were just talking about people recognizing when they do harm and then wanting to make change and regretting bad behavior. And what we were saying was that people aren't given grace online to evolve through that. And then we have a card here talking about the ways in which we do evolve, the ways in which we do listen with the newness of becoming a new person. Now, if I remember correctly, and we haven't looked at this one before, so I might need to check the book, but I'm pretty sure that the metaphor for this was the steam engine. And the idea that the more you come back around to this idea of an engine, the more you can refine it and make it more and more energetically efficient. The idea being that just because you have an idea and you act on it doesn't mean it's in its final form. That you can continue to refine and improve both your thinking and your action, and thus yourself as a person. So if the concept here is, okay, I did X. Was it effective? Did I get the result I wanted? Okay, well, let's come back and look at X again. What would happen if I did X squared? Like really doubled down, or really like exponentially worked hard at X. Does that make it better or worse? And just figuring out how to navigate through whatever the situation is, you get better and better and better at it. But that's more broadly talking about the way in which you interact with people. So if you find that voting a certain way across time does not get you the results that you want, then vote a different way. And if you end up talking about it online and you don't get the cheers that you'd hope for, well, recognize that that's part of the consequence of you contributing to other people's problems. And then make other choices. So the idea, scalding mists propel. There's fire and water in every line of the haiku. So scalding is fire, mist is water. Scalding mists propel. Burning thoughts. So thoughts are water. They're from the third eye, but they're burning thoughts, and they cause, the components of the engine to revolve. But over the course of all this spinning around, it evolves. And the glistening pyre. So glistening is usually something that's wet, but pyres, these big fires, they also put off scintillating light. So glistening pyre. So there's ways of putting ideas and perception together with action, wherein you can become better and better and better, but you have to keep engaging with whatever it is. And in this particular instance, it happens to be the idea of a steam engine eventually becoming a nuclear engine.
You reminded me of something in a book that I just read, which was How or Why. Was it Why or How? I think it was How Machines Learn. I don't think it was Why. I'll have to go take a look at that title. And what you described is called gradient descent, where the machine tries to find the most efficient way to get down a mathematical hill to a local minimum where the equation is stable. And it's how neural networks learn things. So it's like how we have an LLM chatbot now that can do all the things that it can do, is because it followed that very process. And that very process is based on certain theories of cognition, of human cognition, about how human synapses might work. So it's interesting, that at the same time that we're facing sort of a breakdown of empathy in society, we're creating tools that are working and striving towards finding the best possible combination, like you were talking about. I find that interesting as a correlation between the two sort of things that humans do very well, one of which is innovation, right? We're inspired creatures. We're always looking to make things easier, to make things better. There's sort of a drive to improve, a drive to expand and increase our knowledge. And then there's this other drive to keep everything the same and not lose anything in this zero-sum environment that we find ourselves in.
It's an interesting set of cards so far because we're being reminded that our perception really does impact just about everything else. It impacts the way we feel. It impacts the way we communicate, or not, if you're pausing. It affects the way we act. And in a time when information is in and of itself a medium of exchange, almost like wealth, it becomes very important that you recognize that information and money and action and interaction, all of it becomes an economy of your spiritual self. And we have to be aware of the type of economy we want to build within ourselves and how that pays out to other people.
I think I'm ready for another card. We've had a lot of reinforcement of the chakras. I'm curious if we diversify or double down, as you said. All right, here we go. We got one. Nope. We're going to double down. This is the Four of Flames. Four of Flames. For now, dance in the light of your achievement. For now, dance in the light of your achievement.
So it's interesting because it's part of the process of learning how to act better, how to think better, how to be clearer. You do need moments where you don't speak, as your other card mentioned, and where you don't continue, where you take these pauses, where you process and rest. And, in terms of, personal training, for example, the only time you rest and recover and grow your muscles is when you're sleeping. So there's something very important that's come up twice now. And that's a reminder that inaction can be just as powerful as action. Mm-hmm. Silence can be just as powerful as speech. So be strategic about when you do and don't respond.
For this one, I have some questions. I said, what have you achieved that needs some celebration? What do your flames surround? What do your flames surround right now? Like, what are your flames surrounding? What are they shedding light on? How can you change the focus of your flames? Out of balance, this card warns you not to rest on your previous accomplishments. What is the next part of your journey? How can you return to the center and work toward a goal and not a destination?
Yeah. So pondering, considering, celebrating, digesting, all of this is important, because without that, you have nothing but scattering energy. You need to gather sometimes.
And this card in the tarot is the Four of Wands, and it's often pictured as, wands on fire, staves on fire, and a celebration, a gathering at a tent, at a communal fire in a house. The idea is a gathering of your community and a time of celebration for what has been accomplished, which is not the fulfillment, right? It's not the 10 of Wands, the 10 of Flames.
Come here, kitten. Don't scamper away. This was a cool thought. Come back, kitty. Come back. Where's the kitten going? No, come back. Oh.
Did it run away?
I don't know. Oh, okay. So sometimes people are actually afraid of stillness or afraid of silence. They just cannot tolerate nothing. But that it isn't nothing for you to be quiet. It isn't nothing for you to be still. Think about what would happen if you were having a discussion and somebody says something that's just, petty or, whatever, and you could zing them and you don't. That sometimes is way more powerful, because you're letting the energy dissipate out of whatever the situation was. You don't have to have the final word. You don't have to have the final gesture. Sometimes you win just by sitting there and quietly winning. Just win quietly, and in your own brilliance, recognize that this damn fool doesn't even know they just lost. Fine, that's even better. Just savor that inside yourself sometimes. You don't need to project how much you just won. This isn't like tennis. What is that tennis term at Wimbledon? We don't need to know that you just won by screaming and throwing things everywhere. Just win.
Well, the flames are energy, and it's talking about where you put your energy, and it's saying to surround yourself with your energy, to bring it in, enjoy what you have. So I think the part of this reminder is in this crazy thing that we're all going through, right? And it's affecting the world. I mean, it's not just us here in America. It's affecting the world. No, it's
Japanese K-pop stars. What even is a Japanese K-pop star? That didn't even make any sense, but okay.
No, K-pop star, Japanese hat.
Even weirder.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, well, whatever. Korean, Japan. Okay, whatever.
No, there's a call here that it's okay to kind of bring everybody in your life right now. It's okay to bring the people that are important to you together. It's okay to take stock of what's good, what's working, what's positive. Like, that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to gather and celebrate each other and celebrate that you have each other. It's not a bad thing to gather your community. And sometimes that gathering may result in action, and sometimes that gathering might just result in support. Sometimes you just need the support of your community and the support of others, and that's okay too. You don't have to run out and jump in front of tanks. Like that's not the only action that there is to take. There's actions to take. There's things that to be done, but you don't have to be like everyone else. You don't have to do everything that you see on your social media feeds. And sometimes it's okay to bring together.
Yeah, and you certainly don't have to be dragged along by somebody else's impassioned words. So something, okay, whatever the situation is, something has to be done. Okay, does that have to be done by you? Does it be done right now? If the answer is yes, okay, fine, but it might not be. You can be the hero. You can also be the bystander who records it and makes sure other people knows that heroism happened. You know, there's lots of ways to be involved without, you know, sacrificing yourself. We have this, probably because of our storytelling traditions, but we have this whole hero complex. Like everybody wants to be a superhero. Now it's like, you are not Spider-Man. Chill. And if you are, you look great in the tights. But, you know, the idea that everybody has to constantly be involved all the time is wearing everybody out. Choose what you can do.
It's interesting. The hero's journey, the hero with 1,000 faces, it's, you know, it's been debunked a little bit as that is, you know, the one monomyth. It does have a lot of Western culture tendencies and kind of reading into other cultures to find it. But the point of it is that it's a young, stupid person who gets wrapped up in some crazy shenanigans and, you know, ends up going through hell to bring some sort of prize home. It's not the best story. It kind of, you know, is a very, you know, it's not all that heroic when it really comes down to it. And, you know, the feeling that we get from the stories, it's, you know, it's nice to believe that you can make world-changing differences. Like YA is a great genre for this. The YA and the monomyth go hand in hand. You know, 5 plucky teens can change the world with their love triangle. And
5 plucky teens can't even change their shoes. I've been a high school teacher. Do it. Prove it. Go change the world, young ones.
It's escapist. It's nice to think that things are that easy.
Yeah.
The truth is that easy.
Well, it's a lot easier than having to contend with too many nuances, and especially when the what's the word? The person who's playing a contrarian role, whatever that is, whether they're evil or not, I don't know.
Devil's advocate.
Sure. They have good arguments. And if they didn't believe what they were doing, they wouldn't be standing behind it, you know, getting in your way.
Mm-hmm.
Last card?
Last card.
Okay, let's see. The tetrahedron says, haiku again. All right. Well, we're haikuing it up today.
I guess so.
And my dice are crazy. This drunk thing just, hold on, where did it go?
It has exited the table.
32.
32.
All right, 32. Rolling around all over the place today. Oh, we just had this one. This is Aqua, Throat, I Say, as it is intersecting with Earth, Red, I Am, Innuendos Waft, Rippling Sand, Mutating Dunes, Relentless Whispers, Innuendos Waft, Rippling Sand, Mutating Dunes, Relentless Whispers.
Yeah. That's kind of where we're at right now.
The ways in which your words can change identities, change the way people understand themselves, change the way people feel safe or balanced or settled in their identity. Your words have that power. Sticks and stones that whole situation is not true. Words are extraordinarily powerful. If they weren't, why would anybody be acting the way they are right now?
Mm-hmm. Well, the movement of dunes, I like that part here because it's like the movement of glaciers. There's a very subtle, slow flow.
Mm-hmm.
A glacier's not earth, but it's water that's solid, and so it sort of acts like earth would act.
It just occurred to me when I was saying that your words can, change other people, their very sense of identity. When I wrote this, it was that this actually could be very good. When I wrote it from a position of remembering that being very bad and the ways in which rumors and cruel words made me feel like less of a person, and the ways in which our words can hurt other people, and the way that they can just reshape them entirely as people. But they can do the opposite. You can use your words to help people change in good ways too. Now that I think about it, just because a dune has mutated, just because the winds are shifting the shape of the earth, that doesn't have to be bad. It can be good if somebody is reshaped by the words that they hear. If your words in some way influence somebody to reshape themselves into something that's better, it can be good. It can be bad. It can be very painful and hurtful in either direction. But just be aware that words actually do matter, and that it's very glib to say that sticks and stones will break your bones and words will never harm you. That no, that's not true. Words are exceptionally powerful. And you have the capacity to literally reform people with your voice.
I think with collective voice, there's something to be said about the fact that the dunes change where the wind blows. And right now there's a lot of headwind coming from places that are trying to shape our dunes into things we don't want. But there's more of us than there are of them. And voices together, whispers together, can form gale storms.
Mm-hmm.
And can push back.
Oh, absolutely. And it's just ironic that a card that I wrote, years ago, can you imagine? It's been 6 years since I wrote this card. Well, okay, so something that I wrote 6 years ago based on a memory of cruel words in this moment, now, I don't know why it's taking me this long to recognize this. Those same voices can actually affect beautiful change in people as well. Because red, earth, I am, that's Muladhara. Your sense of balance, your sense of stability, your sense of self, who you are, how you identify, that has grown out of the context of your culture and the people and the messaging that you have, in some cases, endured. They don't have to be cruel words. They can be uplifting words. I don't know why is it taking me that long to recognize this? Have I really experienced that much?
No, it's just what you listen to. You're attuned to the negative whispers. They're the ones that cut through the noise for you.
Yeah. I've experienced all sorts of marvelous, kind words. So, okay. In this moment, I'm pausing to reflect on that and appreciate it.
To sum it up, I think we stayed with the third eye through a lot of this. We did get grounded at the end, right? We just got the root chakra back. So a call to return to your roots, to your grounded state, to the place that you have safety and security, and to remember that though we shift and change like the sand does, we are still connected and rooted to the earth and the safety and stability that provides. We are here to be careful what flows through us and what flows around us. And we need to understand that stillness and silence is part of our process. Our energy can only go so many places, and we have to be careful with our energy. We have to allow for change in the world, otherwise it won't occur. If we can't allow people to change, then we won't see a different result the next time that we try this. And you need to gather your community and do what is good for you right now. And that right now is important because there's going to be a need to go out and do more and create change and speak truth to power and do all of those things. Those are going to be necessary, but it's okay to gather for right now and pool your spoons, right? Pool your energy together. And then whispers can change things. Just a sci-fi example in Doctor Who goes up against the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister is not good in that moment. She redeems herself later in the series, but in that moment, she's not good. And he just spreads a little statement, and it undermines her entire ruling, position. And she's voted out. And it's just little whispers that can spread, that can do that. So we have that power. Our little whispers can spread and can become a voice of change.
How can you work smarter instead of harder?
We have a members only version of the podcast. You can get that at patreon.com. We have a YouTube, Show Your Deck on YouTube. You can actually watch the cards that we put up. We'll put up the pretty pictures that we made so you can see what we're talking about. And you can listen and watch the podcast that way if you like. Our books and our decks are available at showyourdeck.com. You can get my book through Kindle Unlimited. It's also available on Amazon in paperback and hardback. Jack's book is available in paperback in the correct 7x7 size with all the pretty colors on the edges. And you can get that directly from Jack and get a nice little signed copy. Jack, where can we find you?
I'm at 49 Haiku, the number 4, the number 9, HAIKU on the interwebs. That would be 49haiku.com. And on Instagram, it is at 49haiku.
I am Dean Sage Media. Find me if you dare. Our show does have an Instagram. It's at your deck. And we'll say goodbye.